Definitely, man. It's an honor, man. Like you, I mean, and stuff. Soul on Ice, classic album. My first question for you would be, how have you been able to maintain your longevity in the game? Like you know what I mean, and stuff and everything. Because a lot of artists from like that '90s era, they've come by the wayside. Some artists and stuff and everything now they aren't even relevant or couldn't put out records. I think like you are one of the few MCs and stuff and everything that is putting out records that are still relevant. And stuff and everything. We could talk about how to kill God. Like, what do you think was the key to your success?
I don't know if it's success more than I don't necessarily really see it as success. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I think. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Not
Is the camera?
okay. There we go. Yeah, I'm here.
Do you? Am I in the camera?
Yeah,
Or
you're
not?
there. You're there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man. To be perfectly honest, I don't really see it as success. I think some concepts are they're just human a little bit more. If I had success, I think I would be in a different part of my career. I think I've had a constant fight, but I do say some things that are not necessarily popular, but they're true, and so they ring true no matter when. But I don't see that as success. It's just I'm blessed to be I think a good writer, and I chose to talk about some things that I think maybe other artists purposely chose not to talk about, and so they got rewarded with success. I've always kind of see my career more like the salmon swimming upstream. I've constantly had to fight. It's, the analogy of the black parent tells the kid that you got to work you know 2 times faster to get half the results, half the pay. In this industry, I've worked 4 times harder to get a quarter of the success and the payment. Um, but that is the lack of success is probably what drives me because I know what I deserve and I know what I've offered, and I know other artists and a very small portion of so-called hip hop knows that I contribute. Let alone How to Kill God. Just the material in between Soul on Ice to now. I'm constantly giving 110% and getting overlooked. Um, Sometimes I think if I was from New York, would not be Big Pun, Nas, Biggie, Jay Z. If I was white, would not be Eminem. I've constantly been almost intentionally overlooked.
That brings up a good question. Do you feel like you know what I mean and stuff and everything because you were a West Coast MC? It was hard for you to get received because you're lyrical. How do you think that can played into it?
That may have been a part of it. I try not to. I try not to live in my past too much. Um, I've tried to learn from it, and I'm appreciative to the people that do appreciate it. But um, it could have been a lot of a combination of factors. I mean, I don't know that answer. I don't necessarily think it's only because I was from the West Coast. It probably was a combination of the label I picked, the you know the team that I had around me, my decision making. It's just a perfect storm of you know, and especially not making music that was quote unquote popular in whatever era that was. So if you're doing something different, you run the risk of being alienated, ostracized, or you get appreciated for doing something that's true to yourself. And unfortunately, most of the time, I've been more ostracized than I've been appreciated for being an artist, for being unique.
So you talked about being on the label that you were on, being on Capitol. What was your thoughts? Like, you know what I mean, as far as like at that time period, did you ever think about like compromising your subject matter to be more accepted by the masses or to be more appeasing to the label?
No, no. I think I understood once I understood the dynamics of where I was at, and what the pros and cons of where I was at. That it would behoove me to stay true to to myself, because if I tried to do anything, um, I, it's almost like it limited me. You gotta, you gotta keep in mind that I've always been of two minds. On solo nights, I'm still doing, you know, I'm doing Marinate with Battle Cat, same person that's doing, Snoop Dogg and Domino, like all these gangster G Funk records. So, and I'm doing songs with Coolio, so he's equivalent to being with the biggest pop star, like of that time, rap pop star. So I've always, I mean, I was making hood records and I was making, party shit. Because I like music. I just like my experiences. I like to go to parties, and I have, I kind of grew up in some hood shit. So, my references and the things I'm talking about tend to be things that I've been through. So I talked about all of it. It was just that I knew if I tried to if I overly tried to make or change my brand to make me look like I'm the super hood person, or if I change my brand to look like all my songs are going to be party songs, it was kind of fucked up. It limited the ability to showcase my range, because the only people that were supportive were the people that heard Nature the Threat and So on Ice, that for some reason forgot that there was drama and anything goes and all these other things on the same record. So um, I didn't compromise at all. I just really I was limited. It stopped me from expressing myself the way I wanted to, because I felt like if I tried to give, I learned that on the second album. Even if I gave them, pretty much, I'm the kid right before Eminem. So even if I gave them a record that was totally my character, at that particular time, it's a whole new label, and whatever, these labels kind of flip, the executives change and whatever, so they keep the same name, but they're not necessarily the same companies. Um, but yeah, for me, it was. I realized that no matter what I gave them, they were gonna kind of fuck it up, and so I couldn't give them something that was more marketable, because they would have fucked that up, and it would have fucked off even the brand of people that supported me, which were the people that, to be perfectly honest, were still closed minded. They only heard Nature the Threat so nice and still didn't hear drama and all this other shit. And so that's what I knew I was fighting. I was fighting two different sides of the same, honestly, closed mind coin. The hip hopper said, you should only do the hip hop shit and don't do the street shit or whatever. I'm like, bro, that's the whole point of Solo Nights, that I'm conflicted. And then the other side was like, well, make these, make some street shit or some club shit, and don't talk about fucking history and socio-politics and all that. And I was like, both of you guys are pretty fucking ignorant, but at least this part supports for whatever degree they do. Because, hip hop only supports so far. They move on to whoever else is the new guy talking or the new flavor of the month. They're not a so-called hip hop. It still wants to support whoever mainstream designates to be successful. So it was always a catch-22 to me anyway. But I had to, like I said, it just relegated me. I didn't have the freedom to express as an artist, which was always unfortunate. Losing, fighting with the label allowed me to do that, but then I didn't have the machine and the promotions for people to hear, you know, all the other music I was making. So that was unfortunate.
So you spoke about nature of the threat, and I've heard this, and a lot of people took nature of the threat, like the bar about the Caesar being a subliminal shot at Nas, and they say that's why on Book of Rhymes that Nas responded back. Are you familiar with the bar where he says like he basically says like soul on ice, like threats or something of that nature, and it was like considered to be like a subliminal shot at you. And then there's like is there any truth to that?
Nah, man. I can't speak for Nas. I don't know what he wrote. I there's no MC, no rapper I'm talking about Nature the Threat. No rapper ever crossed my mind, wasn't on my radar. I think personally, a lot of times people read way far into it. I saw a video. It was pretty crazy because I was like, wow. It was like it was like this whole me Nas thing. And I was like, never happened, but it started making me think it happened. But no, I mean to be perfectly honest, no. Naked Threat there's no black person I'm talking about. It's
Right.
strictly paper. There's no rapper especially. I can't speak for Nas. I don't know what he wrote after that. I do remember the Solo Nice thing, but I didn't necessarily. Solo Nice is still, in the context of the book, I perceived it that way, and I also perceived it maybe where, you know, uh, my record gave him, some awareness about, the resources in that particular book. I never took it as a diss. Because there's supposed to be some other stuff that I said later about, like we were going back at it.
Yeah,
But
like it was written. I think it's like over a Dipset beat. You say it was written. Niggas is ignorant because like allegedly the beef was over. I guess like a lot of people considered that you like you. I mean, in nature of the threat, you say something basically along the lines of December 25th, the birth of Saturn, or homosexual god. And the reason that people were saying like because I guess everyone from Queens knows that Nature used to push a Saturn before he got on, and it was rumors that he was gay. And then they say that you threw subliminal shots at Nas on the song because there's more bisexuality in sight. Julius Caesar was known as every woman's husband and every man's wife, and because Nas had bragged about having a fresh street Caesar in Street Dreams.
right, I think people were reaching to be.
Totally like just like okay, like folklore. I understand. Um,
Yeah, I mean, literally everything that I was saying was
base.
historically about Julius Caesar, and that was the quote of who he was. And Saturnalia is Saturn. That's what Christmas is, December 25th. So, um,
You didn't take though Book of Rhymes though as a subliminal diss towards you though, like when he says like soul on you know
man, like I said, I've heard. I mean, I had the album.
because a lot of people were saying because like also you had issues with Alchemist, I guess because Alchemist is sold the We Gonna Make It beat, and you
Yeah,
were supposed to.
but I mean, I wouldn't if I had issues with alcoholism, wouldn't I have dissed Jadakiss? So why would I
Yeah,
diss that? That doesn't really make any
listen.
sense. People reach, I get it.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't have any animosity, and I didn't even like I said, I saw that video and I thought it was it was a lot of like super conspiracy theories. It was, but I don't know. You know, I can only speak from my side of it. I don't
Right.
know what I was thinking. I know by the time I had any degree of a conversation with Nas, my third album was supposed to come out, and he was just asking me about that. Like literally, he knew that my album didn't come out, and he was like, "Yo, I went to the record store. I was, you know." So that's the only conversation I ever had with Nas uh, about anything prior to today. I mean, like,
Right.
nah, I wouldn't have dissed Nas for something Alchemist did. When I was mad at Alchemist, I dissed Alchemist.
Right.
Uh, and you know, I dissed him privately before I dissed him publicly. Um, you know, and once again, my issue would have been with Jadakiss and Alchemist as opposed to Nas.
Um, another question: have you spoke to Kanye West since he dropped the song "Kanye Moment"? Do you know how he received that, or do you
No,
know?
I have not seen. You know, I always say I used to know him. I used to be acquainted with him. I don't know. You know, people change, and you know, they create their new narratives and all that, and you know, they get busy and they make more money. So I don't know the guy. I'd love to. I'd love to come across him in you know 2018. Um, I thought it was pretty funny.
It's
You know,
hilarious.
yeah. I don't think it's mean spirited. I
No,
think it's
like I think you gave him like kind of a lot of props, like you know what I mean, and stuff more so in the song. Like from my point of view, I thought like you know what I mean and stuff. It was kind of like an ode in a way, but also like kind of like poking fun of him, like so.
I mean, it was in jest. I mean, you know, I think I would really be curious. I'd show him the video and everything. I'd be like, "Yo, what do you think of this? This is pretty funny." He might get pissed off. I mean, it seems like a little more uh, sensitive about you know shit, but you know, shit, he makes a lot of money. I guess you know he can be mad. I don't think I would give a shit about that. But nah, I haven't spoken to the dude. I kind of was hoping he'd be like, "What the fuck is this?" and tweet about it, which would have been hilarious.
Um, you know, speaking about money and like we talked about success, what would be your definition as far as like success within hip hop? Because like you know, a lot of people might measure it with record sales. You know, like as far as like what is the definition of
I,
success?
I think it's a combination of things. You know, I'll try to give a small example. If you saw Jay Z, like at Dwayne Reed working the register, you feel like, damn, what happened? So obviously, success has to be measured to some degree in the financial, you know, the awareness, the notoriety, and the finances of it. And I don't have those kind of finances. I don't have, you know, I don't, I don't sell out the Staples Center, you know. Um, and not necessarily could Gangstar do that by themselves, or you know, or Red Man and Method Man, but maybe they could. I don't know. I'm just saying. In general, you know, it's not all of one thing, but there's a combination of things. Of course, you know that to have records that have been supported by the DJs and the clubs to be able to, you know, to have had a certain amount of fiscal financial success. Um, you know how you know to how you know you're touring, you know, whatever. When your name comes up, you know, a lot of times they have these, um, you know, these all these websites. They start naming who the best are, and it's crazy. They just start naming like, you know, people that aren't that good but sell a lot of records,
Right.
or are, you know, okay, but sold a lot of records, or people that are brand new that are pretty good, but you know they only had an album or you know whatever because they start judging who the best is literally by who sold the most records today, and that's a pretty unfair assessment. If when we talked about skills, that was a part. Like skills got erased out of hip hop, which is weird.
Yeah.
Like there's no other sport, there's no other any job description where being good at it is a negative, except for rap. You can't be an Indy car driver and keep crashing a car every week. Like this is the only thing where they say like, oh, that's too lyrical. That's not good rap.
Right.
That's like we have went upside down and a job description that's literally the job description is the name of the thing. And now doing the thing is whack. Like you're not good if you could rap good. It's the weirdest business I've ever like. I'm many times I just is trying to find my parachute to get out of it because it's weird. And black people have parroted executives, white executives, and they started talking like them, and we lost our culture. And they for the most part they've taken rap the same way they took rock and roll and took jazz and took blues and took like and we sound stupid as fuck talking about that's too lyrical. Like it's a really bad business at this point.
For sure. I saw an interview with you previously, and you talk about how when you were in junior college, and you said like how it pretty much like changed your path because I guess it was a question you knew the answer to, and you said like maybe like if the professor hadn't told you at the end of class that like you actually knew the answer, that you might have like gone to do something. What do you think you would be doing if you hadn't like been a rapper? Because like you're super intelligent. Like in my opinion, I think like just like watching your interviews, your raps like genius level in my opinion. And like I'm like super impressed with like your intelligence. Like, do you think what area do you think you would have gravitated towards?
I always wanted to, my mother always says, she wanted a philosopher. But I think she got that. That was my last time. Last time she mentioned that, I was like, well, that's kind of what I do. Let's do it to beats. But I would, it's something that I haven't completely given up on, which is, I'd like to be a. My bigger thing was I wanted to create universities like these schools, like the middle to high school kind of universities to educate because we don't educate our own. We go to public schools or we go to private schools, but other people have schools for themselves.
Right.
Jewish community, the Japanese community, the Chinese community. Those communities educate themselves. Um, and we don't. We allow the person that raped us, beat us, and renamed us like their pet dog to educate us, which means we're not being taught. We're taught how to be their dog still.
Right.
Um, so yeah, but that takes money. So it's this was and it still is a means to an end. And I'm hoping you know at the end game was always education, real truth, truth, not education, truth, and to teach people truth, and to teach analytical thinking to young people, and we all need hope, we need opportunity, and we just we're in a situation right now where they just eroded more hope for people, you know, um, in America. Like if you don't already have it, you probably won't get it, and so they're dooming people to actually to go backwards. Like we'll be in some 19, some 1820s type shit in a few years. Like this is about financially, the poor are getting poor as fuck. Middle class is becoming lower class, and the rich people are going to stay rich and get richer. And that's not really a good model to sustain a society. Um, but then you just build prisons, and then you shoot niggas and all that other shit. So that's kind of where we're headed towards right now.
Wow. What's next for Ras Kass in 2018?
First things first, we'll be dropping in the next week or so. I have a group called JMO Gang, which is me, my brother El Gon, and my man J57, producer and artist, Brown Bag All Star. So um, we're dropping a free EP February. So it's self-titled, executive produced by DJ Premier. So we're about to hit the road and do that. And I am working on an album right now. I have two albums I want to put out because people have been giving me so much shit. I'm just trying to get everything together, but I had to put out Solo Nights 2 this year. But I really wanted to put out prior to that a project called Love, but mostly hip hop. So my goal is to put out both this year, and I got to, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I kind of want them a certain way, but that's what I'm looking for. It'll be the JMO Gang group thing, and then I guess I have to take some inventory right now, but make sure I get Solo Rights 2 the way it should be and get that done. It'll be short, probably like on some common fucking Nas type shit, short and sweet, 12 records. And then do Love, but mostly hip hop at the end of the year.
Show Raz, man. Thank you so much for taking the time and stuff. It was a pleasure and an honor to actually connect with you and stuff and everything. So, so what's
Thank
up,
you.
man?
Sorry about the at the whiskey. I don't know what the fuck happened.
Yeah, like I didn't know. I thought they would just be cool with it and stuff and everything. But like apparently, I guess like some of those venues can be like uptight and stuff and everything. Because I've done some interviews like up and down Sunset and stuff and everything. And but apparently though they have like a reputation for being like very strict with that. So like it's just a learning experience. I'll know in the future. So I appreciate you though for you and me and stuff and everything. Like still connecting with me and we could get it done over Skype. So that's what's up, man.
Well, appreciate you, man. Much love.
You too.
All right.